So before I come to the solution, I want to give another example that is present here. Now, I will give an example of Bahrain, but this is not a critique of Bahrain and Bahrainis directly. It is, again, every person has their own thoughts and ideologies and beliefs, and that is determined by the level of their education, of their upbringing, of a lot of factors, but it has nothing to do with their race or with their nationality per se. So when we speak to minorities or we treat minorities here, it's different. It's not the same as how we treat each other. And it is ingrained very deeply in our subconscious without even noticing. So when we speak or we go to a supermarket or a gas station or somewhere, and we speak to a Bahraini person thinking that he is of another nationality, when we find out that this person is Bahraini, we have this knee-jerk sort of, oh, we feel bad, like as if we did something wrong, even though we haven't. Even if we were speaking to them, well and nicely and politely, that notion of that person being from a minority population makes us feel like, I might have offended him or her, But if we have that same situation and we mistake a Bahraini for another nationality, which is not a minority, I'm going to be straightforward now. If we mistake a Bahraini for a European or an American, we won't get that feeling. We won't get we would feel like, oh, that person should actually be flattered, because we mistook them not being Arab for being European or American or whatever. So this by itself, now of course not everyone has this feeling. Some people may not feel this notion like, oh, I might have offended that person because I thought they were from a different nationality. That's good. I'm happy that some people don't feel it, but I felt it growing up, and I know many people who feel it sometimes. And it's just an inner feeling. Now, what does this show? What does this tell us? This tells us that ingrained deep in our subconscious that we feel, and we've been told, or we've been treating minorities as they are a level below Bahrainis or Arabs. And then we are also treating Europeans or Americans as if they are a level above and they are better. So both are wrong. Both are really, damaging attitudes and beliefs or thoughts to have in our head. Like, why should I be flattered if someone mistakes me to be European or American or whatever, just because I'm white or because I dress in a certain way? Or there's nothing, flattering about it. I am who I am, and if I am Arab or Bahraini or Muslim or Indian or African or whatever, or American or South American, or it doesn't matter where I'm from. I should be proud and happy and content. And just because someone mistakes me for another nationality, I shouldn't feel offended because another nationality is not lower than me, and I shouldn't feel flattered because another nationality is not higher than me as well. So we promote and we talk about equality and how we're all one and there's no one better than the other, but then in application in our daily lives, it's not true. Because situations like these have proved to us that it's not true. And yes, it is much better now than it was, hundreds of years ago, because the level of inequality was way worse, was much more evident. Like, when we had slavery, for example, it was a clear-cut discriminatory inequality act, but now it's so subtle that it's hard to notice, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And just because I am noticing it or pointing it out, it doesn't mean that I am a negative or pessimistic or a sore person. It just means that I see it. And just because as people saw slavery back then, we're talking about it and saying that we should stand up against it, even though there were many people who were strongly for it and called those people as negative and sore or whatever, freedom fighters or liberals. it doesn't mean that I am, or anyone who lives today who is pointing out these subtle discriminatory and stereotyping acts means that we're, any less.